Hello and welcome to Muppetsational, the UK's biggest Muppet Show podcast, hosted by three huge Muppet fans. Join us each week as we dive into an episode of Jim Henson's classic variety show, now finally available on Disney+. This week, it's Season 2, Episode 7, starring the loose-lipped and wooden Edgar Bergen. It's time to get things started on the chronological, explorational, conversational Muppetsational!
Woohoo!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Muppetsational. I'm Lewis Chandler.
I'm Jade Turner.
And I'm Emma Chandler.
And we are here this week, as we are every week, to discuss another episode of The Muppet Show. Hello, Shirleys.
Shirley, you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. I wish we'd been allowed to watch Airplane instead of this.
Oh, Lewis!
No. I feel like I've come into this with a slightly bad energy because I was having all manner of tech problems. I was doing the world's saddest mime performance for Jade and Emma over our Google Meet. I had to open Safari. I couldn't click on a link. It was all
happening.
It was, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. How are you both?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm quite full. I can never say it right. Is it a dal? I always want to...
Dal?
Yeah, dal. But then I don't know.
Dal.
In my dodgy Hampshire accent, that just sounds wrong. I swear that's not how you actually
I can say
it.
dal.
Yeah. Anyway, we had a dal for dinner and
Ooh.
I'm full. So not as full as you with the pie, but I am full nonetheless.
I was very full of pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you don't rub your stomach like I did. That
Yeah.
caused you a whole bunch of editorial stress. Like, what is this soft rubbing sound that's coming through?
What is that noise? Oh,
what
it's
is
Lewis
that noise?
digesting his pie.
Just the occasional.
Emma, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better, thank you.
Yes, Emma had the COVID.
I did. I was wiped out for a week, but you know, I'm here. The fatigue is still real though.
Oh no. Yeah,
It's rubbish.
It is rubbish. So wait, Emma and I have both had it. I had it August 2021. Jade, have you managed to skip it or have you had it?
As far as I know, I haven't had it. I've had 2 pretty heavy colds, but whenever I've done both rapid tests and I did get some PCRs the first time I had a heavy cold and everything's come back negative. So as far as I know, touching some wood, have not had it yet. But we fly to Barcelona next Thursday and, you know, we'll find out.
Godspeed. Speaking of touching wood.
Oh, seamless.
Seamless
transition. Jade, why don't you kick us off with some production information?
Yes, I will. So this episode was originally broadcast on the 11th of November, 1977. It was written by Jerry Jewell, Joseph A. Bailey, Jim Henson and Don Hinckley, and directed by Philip Casson. And Emma, I feel like to some degree Edgar Bergen needs no introduction, but equally he probably does need a little bit because, he's sort of culturally known now, but he's obviously not exactly on our screens that often.
No, he did die in 1978, so...
A tragic loss.
Yeah, so Edgar Bergen was an actor, comedian, vaudevillian, and he was best known for his
charlatan.
Best known for his ventriloquism and his characters Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snurd. Interesting, he was the father of Candice Bergen.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay, Candice. So essentially, he started off on radio, as all good ventriloquist actors do.
The natural medium for ventriloquy.
Yeah, the central medium.
That's how he got away with it.
So he had the Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy show on radio, which ran from 1937 to 1957.
Wow.
And then from that point onwards, he went on to guest star on a lot of variety shows. And then he had a couple of shows on like CBS. So he had like the Charlie McCarthy show and then the Edgar Bergen show. Interesting, on the end credit of the Muppet movie, it's got a dedication in memory to him because Jim Henson saw him as an inspiration. He was just on a lot of TV shows guesting, and then he was going to retire in 1978, and he did what all stars of that time did. He decided he was going to go do Vegas.
Of course.
So he went to do a show at Caesars for a 2-week farewell. But unfortunately, he died 3 days later.
Emma, I do love how you tee up your death stories in the biographies.
It's the jolliest ending.
What is also quite interesting is that he had it seems quite a contentious relationship with Candace.
Ooh.
Because apparently in his will, he didn't leave her anything, but he left $10,000 to Charlie McCarthy.
No!
And also,
the
apparently...
fucking dummy.
Yeah, and
Oh
then
my
apparently
God.
he also, according to Candace's autobiography, in their house, Charlie had a bigger room than she did.
Oh my God.
What? It's just, that's insane. I mean,
There's
that's
a lot to
bananas.
process.
Yeah.
Poor Candace.
Poor Candace, not only having to just grow up around these ventriloquism dummies
Yep.
as it is, but then to have your father leave $10,1978.
That's a lot of dollars.
That's a lot of dollars to a puppet, and it got a bigger
Oh my God.
That's messed up.
Emma, have you read her autobiography?
I haven't, no, but when I was just researching her, it was just like something that came up and I was like, oh, okay, let's just have a quick look at this. And I was like, wow, there is a lot going on here in this relationship.
Yeah, God.
It's really interesting that Jim Henson looks at Edgar Bergen as a sort of inspiration, because I was thinking about this as my mind often wandered during this episode. Obviously, we are all here because we love the Muppets, and by very virtue of that, we all just buy in to the puppetry that occurs in the Muppets. We talk about them as if they are real characters. I never feel any doubt in my mind that Kermit is real, or Piggy is real, or Gonzo is real. And it's so strange that Jim, who could, through using puppetry and also just by his very nature, built these sort of such fully rounded, amazing characters, whereas ventriloquism and a dummy always feels so artificial because you're seeing the process. Do you know what I mean? You're seeing the sausage being made, and I don't know. It just kind of surprises me.
It's more than that too, isn't it? Because I was thinking about it too. You know, by the nature of ventriloquy, the ventriloquist is on stage next to their puppet as opposed to hidden for a start, but also because they're wooden, they are so limited in their expressions. You know, everything we've been talking about in terms of how far these puppets have come in season 2 and how much more expressive, say, a puppet like Gonzo is. You know, you're never going to get that with Charlie McCarthy. It's just never going to happen.
No.
And I do think there's something that's kind of like foundational Muppet particularly in Charlie McCarthy, because Edgar Bergen can say things through Charlie McCarthy that he wouldn't obviously not say as himself. And I think the puppeteers take inspiration from that. But yeah, it is peculiar. I just want to, on this and what you said about Emma, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy are in the Muppet movie, of course. They judge the contest that Miss Piggy is discovered at. And then it was actually, I want to say both of their, which sounds really weird, but it was Edgar Bergen's last film role. So I think that's another reason that he dedicated it to him, because obviously then he passed away. But yeah, it is a really, really strange one. And I think having him next to all of the Muppets really does show up just the vast gap between this art form and, in particular, what Jim Henson's Muppets do.
Yeah. I'm really glad we're doing the Muppet Show podcast and not the Charlie McCarthy and Edgar Bergen podcast.
I just want to know what happened to that $10,000.
Yeah.
Did Candace take Charlie McCarthy to court?
I thought you were going to say she took Charlie McCarthy to the bank and then just gave her bank details and was like, yes, he wants to cash this. Here we go.
Very humbling to think that a ventriloquist dummy has more money than I do.
And that was 1978, Lewis, as well.
Oh, no. It's like whenever I watch a movie and I see an animal in it and I think, that dog has more film credits than I do. There's a dog that's in Silence of the Lambs and Batman Returns and some other movie, and I'm like, those are 3 great movies that you're in, dog. And the most I have is 7 seconds as teenage boy in the Zack Snyder Justice League. And that white poodle has a better CV than I do. I wish I had a drink right now.
Lewis, I feel like you're completely spiralling this evening.
Well, let's get into it, shall we? My first notes are, oh God, here we go. And so his mouth is moving quite a bit.
Yeah, we have to talk about his skill as a ventriloquist, or lack thereof.
I'm wondering,
It's crazy.
I feel like I told a story on an episode a long time ago about a ventriloquist who started his career on radio and then moved to television and then was found out to not be very good. Maybe it was Edgar Bergen, but I think it was actually a British ventriloquist as well. Were ventriloquists just getting away with this for decades until the advent of actual, I don't know, television?
I'm guessing it's not Edgar Bergen because he is such an institution. There's no way that that he would have been found out, as it were. I'm guessing that it's just because TV sets were rubbish and the signal was terrible, the picture was tiny, it was in black and white. Like, you would not have been able to see most of the time his lips particularly moving.
Yeah,
I don't think.
It's interesting you should say that, because that's what I was thinking as well, because I was like, we're watching this now and obviously you can clearly see his lips are moving and everything else.
He's talking.
He was just
He's talking.
He was just yeah. I think we've got so much more expectation on like performers, or kind of, if we're seeing something, we want to be wowed. We don't want to look at it and be like, oh, it's literally just him talking and moving a dummy.
It was so distracting at times because, especially, I'm not jumping ahead, but that bit with Miss Piggy right at the end, there were parts of that where he was obviously really enamoured with performing with Miss Piggy, and he genuinely was just talking. He was not attempting at all not to move his lips. He was just chatting in Charlie McCarthy's voice. Would you not, as, I don't know, Philip Casson, the director, would you not say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bergen, we need to take that again. You were just talking then. You were not doing ventriloquy.
I mean, I don't know. I felt watching it, especially, I know I'm going to go ahead a little bit as well, but when we have the whole consider yourself moment, and they literally have everyone in that song, I think Jim was a bit like, he's my inspiration. We're just chucking everything in.
It's just, I feel like after that, assuming they film in sequence, I don't know if they do, but I'm just assuming, given how a lot of shows filmed in the 60s and 70s, they did. That first scene, they do have Charlie and Edgar in a sort of a shot where you see the both of them the whole time. I do wonder, as we go further into the episode, and was it Casson? What's his first name?
Philip Casson.
Philip.
Yeah.
We do get more shots of just the dummy talking,
Yeah,
and they cut out Edgar, which made me think, maybe they had quietly clocked on the dailies that it's like, his lips are moving. I wonder if there's also just a little something about, obviously television cameras are, just by virtue in lining up a 2-shot, because of the size of the screens that they're performing on, they are naturally quite close up. Whereas, if you're a ventriloquist, even in a small regional theatre, the audience is still maybe about 8 to 10 feet away from you. And if you have the difference of a big flapping dummy mouth and some little, some lip moving, compare that to then when you have a television camera that, by the use of zoom or whatever, is maybe 2 feet away or a foot away. Suddenly those little, and I am paraphrasing that, movements do suddenly become a man talking.
Definitely. I did also go back on YouTube and just because I was just curious to see whether maybe this was like an older age thing, because obviously we know sadly that he passed away the following year. But I looked at clips from the 30s, the 50s, the 60s, and in all of them his mouth's moving. So
God, you're a glutton for punishment, Jade.
No, none of them. I wasn't on any of them for long, except for a show he did, which I think was called What's the Word, where he was like the mystery guest, and he.
Oh, what's my line?
Maybe it was What's My Line. Yes, I think it was What's My Line. He was the mystery guest, and he basically did no ventriloquism on it at all. But I was kind of absolutely enthralled at this random lineup of people trying to guess Edgar Bergen. It was just bizarre. Anyway, yeah, I think it comes back a little bit, as you just said, Emma, as well, to what we spoke about with Rich Little as well, just in terms of like the expectations of audiences and how much higher our expectations are now with, you know, whether you're doing an impression or whether you're doing a puppetry or ventriloquism or whatever it is. It's like, you have to be great. You cannot get away with flapping your mouth around. It's just not acceptable.
I would never pay money to see a ventriloquist. I don't think you could even pay me to see a ventriloquist.
I think the only one I would consider seeing is Nina Conti. But I probably wouldn't go and see her, but I would, like, if she was on at a festival that I'd already paid money to go to, I might be like, oh, I'll swing by and watch Nina Conti. But she's the only one.
Perhaps. Well, I'm so glad we all committed to watching this 25 minutes of television. And I'm guessing in your cases, you both watched it twice.
Yes.
Wow. I watched it an hour ago. Let's crack in, shall we?
So we have our first song, if I can call it a song, of the episode with TR Rooster and the chickens clucking along to Babyface is the tune.
I spent the entire time trying to guess what the hell.
Oh, I got it straight away.
Oh, I was like, is it the hand jive?
There was a lot happening. It got very intense, and I thought the two chickens at the top were like the most intense of all their movements.
Oh yeah, the more they were getting into it, the more I sort of came to love this little opener.
Yeah,
like their energy, and when they started headbanging,
yes.
and really just like going up and up and up, it was yeah, it gave it that sort of level of zaniness that I think was very, very necessary, because otherwise, for the first 30 seconds, I was a little worried that this was just going to run for an entire 2 minutes of just this.
Yeah, it was great how it built. It was really, really clever, because it did seem at the start very sort of, yeah, I don't know, just like a chicken glee club. Like, okay, these chickens are just singing, fine. Yeah, I thought it was really, really good fun. And I did recognise Babyface, and the only reason I recognise it is because Rory sings it in an episode of Gilmore Girls. And that's the only reason that I got the tune.
Does he?
She.
Oh, Rory. When does she sing that?
It's at Sherry's baby shower, and one of the games is you've got to sing songs with baby in, but you're not allowed to sing baby. So she's going like, face, I love your face.
Oh
yeah.
My goodness! Yes.
I can now picture that little Madchen Amick being what's her face.
Yeah.
God.
That's the only reason I knew it.
Yeah. That I can remember that one because that's like 2 episodes after like my all-time favorite episode of the Gilmore Girls, which is the 24-hour dance-a-thon. I think
it'll be before that, because it's when sorry, you know I know this show too much. Yeah. It's at the end they devil egg Jess's car, so it's before Rory's with Jess, but it's very close to it. It's really, really close to it.
At the runaround, at the dance-a-thon, she's still with Dean. That's when they break up.
Yeah, but then the next episode is when they get together.
Oh.
So this one must be.
I will defer to your knowledge on this one.
Yeah, sorry. That's my run. I usually start with Bracebridge Dinner, and then I go through the Rory and Jess stuff, which we'll get to another Rory and Jess moment later on.
Oh.
Actually, I could just say it now. Basically, Charlie McCarthy, Jess has a line when he's like dissing Dean. Dean's talking for Rory, and he's like, "All right, Edgar Bergen, let's hear from Charlie McCarthy now."
Oh my God.
So whenever I hear Charlie McCarthy, that's all I think about is Jess saying that to Dean.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, anyway, so
Sometimes the Sherman Paladinos should be stopped. I mean...
no, god damn it! It's how we understand pop culture. It's fine.
I learned mine from The Simpsons. Thank
Yeah,
you.
exactly. You've got the Simpsons. I've got the Sherman Paladinos. It's all good, Lewis. What's
All
Emma
you
got?
have
Grays?
is a nice brunette lady in hats and capes running around New York with an inexplicable budget. How did they afford that Ferris wheel? That was insane.
That. Oh my god, that is the best thing I think they've ever done. It was so good. It's so
Ugh.
good. I love it.
Anyway.
Ethan, is your funnel cake delicious?
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, now streaming on Amazon Prime. Imagine if we just swung this into us being sponsored by Amazon Prime. We teed up that entire conversation just so we could bury the lead that we're now on Amazon Prime.
Syndicated Audible podcast.
Oh my god, I wish. Maybe I'd finally get my Audible for free. That'd be nice. And then I don't have to pay for my sad gay books anymore.
Can I tell you both a fun fact about the chicken singing Babyface?
Yes.
Oh, I think I might know your fun fact.
Well, I don't.
Go on, Emma. I'll let you do the big reveal.
Is it the fact that they used the same audience response as they did in episode 204?
No, it's not, but that is very good.
Emma was so happy with herself for that.
She was so happy. That is random because you get the rooster in both the audience and on stage, which is very strange. No, my fun fact about the chicken singing Babyface is that the puppeteers, as the chickens, did this at Jim Henson's memorial.
Oh!
We're back to the Jim Henson Memorial!
We're back to the memorial. Pew pew pew.
It's been a while since we've cracked into the extensive entertainments from the Jim Henson Memorial. It's very touching to have it back.
I am sorry, but they did it as the chickens. I just don't think that's appropriate for a memorial service.
It's now making me question my decision for my future funeral.
Oh God!
Excuse me a moment. Singing.
Emma, neither of us will probably be around for this, so...
God, oh, that's nice of you to think that I won't idiotically kill myself in some way. Thank you. It's only a 3-year gap between us at most. Like, odds are.
It's a race to the finish, is it?
Oh,
it's
God.
gonna be a slow crawl, let's be honest.
Yes.
None of us are keen cardio fans.
I was going to say, and I've got an underlying health condition, so odds on me first.
Oh no, Emma.
Oh my God. Don't give her sympathy. Emma uses that underlying health condition as a get out of jail free card for anything. Like, even entirely unrelated things. Emma, we'd be like at a theme park, and I'd be like, "Let's go on this." They'd be like, "I have an underlying health
I've got
condition."
type 1 diabetes.
Yeah,
no.
the diabetes means I can't go on this roller coaster. Don't believe that's true, Emma, here in Orlando, Florida.
Also, while you've probably no doubt been drinking frappuccinos, eating donuts, and
Yeah.
just generally gorging yourself.
I may have done that.
Think about like 15-year-old Emma chowing down on a Cinnabon at Universal, which probably was like her entire calorie intake for the day. Like, oh, those Cinnabons were good.
It's all good. After Babyface, I really liked Kermit hosting all of the chickens backstage and negotiating with them for a coup.
Being held
Yes,
by one of
I
the
know,
chickens.
I saw that.
Beak over his arm. I thought that was such a nice little touch.
It's because that union is tough, Lewis.
That
They're
is a
holding
tough
him.
union.
The chickens are unionized.
Yes.
I love how much they reference unions in in the Muppet Show. It just shows that we really let union culture fall the further we've given into late stage capitalism.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think between Reagan and Thatcher, they tried to stamp it out as much as humanly possible. Hopefully the chickens have survived the chicken union has survived the 80s.
Well, to be fair, the chickens always have the means to production because they are the only people who can lay the eggs.
This is true.
So no wonder they've got such a strong union. Seize the means of production. Or so we get another rarity in this scene where we have a full backstage number, which was interesting. I did wonder as we went on whether it was trying to cover the limits of having a ventriloquist and his dummy as a guest, because I realised you can't really move if you're a ventriloquist with a dummy, short of having him sitting on your arm and pulling him around. So to have all the Muppets sort of jump on and start singing Consider Yourself was perfectly fine, but it was an incredibly static song.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think obviously they're playing to what is possible to do when Charlie McCarthy is there with Edgar Bergen. But it did make sense to me because I guess singing Consider Yourself, like, they are welcoming them into the Muppet gang, and I feel like that would actually feel a little bit strange on stage to suddenly have all these Muppets appear out of nowhere in quite the same way. Like, I bought that this was backstage and that all these Muppets were just hanging around and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. In the choice between having this number and having Edgar Bergen do more bad ventriloquism.
Yes.
Bring on Consider Yourself. Absolutely.
Consider yourself at home.
Consider yourself one of the family.
No, thank you.
We've taken to you so strong. It's clear we're going to get along. Consider yourself well in.
Consider yourself part of the furniture.
Not me.
There isn't a lot to spare.
So what? Who cares?
Whatever we have, we'll share.
If it's a chance to be, we should see some harder days, empty larder days. Why grouse?
Always a chance we'll meet somebody to foot the bill. Then the drinks are on the house.
Not me, I'm driving.
I thought this was really cute and sweet when it actually got into the number. I loved that we had so many Muppets in it. And I also really liked that it was recognisable Muppets, because I feel like quite often when we've had these big numbers, quite often it's like slightly strange Muppets that maybe we never see again, or maybe they just always usually are in the background. But, this was Uncle Deadly and Scooter and Janice and Fozzie and Kermit and everything. Like, it just felt like a really, really nice mix of Muppets. And then when it got to the parts where the chickens and the Frackles and the pigs were coming through, I guess that was the bit that they tried to give it a little bit of movement, didn't they? By having those...
Well, movement, and also just giving Charlie McCarthy something to do.
Yeah.
In that the dummy was making some jokes.
I was going to say that's when the old bacon and eggs joke came out, wasn't it? At that point. But no, I agree with you, Jade. It was really nice to see Janice. I was like, we've not seen her for a while, and they definitely kind of threw in the top tier Muppets in this song.
They did.
Yeah, and I suppose there's a certain niceness to, if Jim Henson decided to have Consider Yourself be part of it, trying to say to, in a way saying to Charlie McCarthy, the dummy, consider yourself one of the Muppets. It's great. And also Jim Henson being like, I consider myself
one of you.
Like you, so consider yourself one of us. But Edgar Bergen as a person seems to be taking it all in a fairly nice stride. He seems to have a fairly good on stage energy. Obviously, all of my judgments on him are now being coloured by the crazy stuff with Candace. I kind of can't stop thinking about it. Like the idea that he literally paid a lawyer to write down in his last will to leave $10,000 to a dummy.
And nothing to his daughter.
Just what an awful man.
Yeah, that is awful. That is truly, truly terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who is not an awful man is my beloved Muppet newsman, who apparently isn't wearing any trousers.
Did that perk you up?
It did a little. Look, I don't want to dig into it in any meaningful way, but I don't know. I sat up in my chair a little. Not wearing trousers, eh?
It's funny in and of itself, fine. But it's also like, he could not wear trousers every week and nobody would ever know because he's behind the desk.
Jade, I'm not wearing trousers right now.
Well, there we go then, Lewis.
We've all been living that Zoom life.
Emma's gone very quiet. It makes me worried that Emma's about to be like, I'm completely naked because we can just see her head.
No, I was just, when I said to you about the $10,000, I'm like, I definitely read that right?
Are you doubting yourself?
I am. I don't know. Hold on.
I don't want the litigious
Yeah.
Bergen
Bergen
estate to come
Foundation.
after us.
I know,
I
right?
don't want to get sued by the ghost of a ventriloquist dummy. Like I'm in a Goosebumps book.
I do not want to get sued by Charlie McCarthy, okay? That's just make that very clear.
Okay, so apparently, this is on Google, according to Candice Bergen's memoir, A Fine Romance, he left his daughter nothing but bequeathed his dummy, Charlie McCarthy, $10,000, according to Wikipedia, so...
No, I'll take that. I used it for my university essays. I can certainly use it for my podcast. Still got a first. So after this very brief Muppet news flash, literally, oh my god. We go into another little short skit of Gonzo blindfolded and wrestling a house brick?
A 6-pound brick, I believe is how it's described. Which is not a welterweight, we later find out.
Indeed. This was bonkers, but it follows on from what we said a few episodes ago about artist Gonzo is gone. He is now bonkers Gonzo. He is, Gonzo. He's Gonzo.
Yeah, he's Daredevil stuntman Gonzo, isn't he? I absolutely loved his little wrestling leotard and cape. It was hysterical.
Yes.
He looked so cute. And that blindfold, there was no way he was seeing anything through that. It's huge.
I swear, whenever we see the full kind of version of Gonzo, he's so tiny and cute. I'm just oh.
I know. Would like to briefly award this wrestling outfit as Lewis's outfit of the week.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, good.
Complete with blindfold.
I loved when he was splayed after the brick had taken him out. It was
Now, look, Jade, I found it a little post-coital. There was panting, his legs were spread, the brick was lying on top and between his legs, and I was just I've seen this film before. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I was just all riled up from the newsman, but
I think you might have been.
But I wasn't the only one. They cut to the audience. Zelda Rose was loving the wrestling. She was clapping. She was standing up. She was having a great time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things with wrestling that's it always verges on a bit sexual, doesn't it? Just because of the nature of the fact that you've got people jumping around, not wearing many clothes, and there is a lot of, lying on top of one another, heavy breathing. It's not.
I didn't mean so. I've never watched wrestling. I just meant that it was literally just the
that
setup
shot
of that final shot, and I think it was maybe the slow pan away as well. I don't know. It just all felt slightly sort of like we were going to pan a bit further back, and then a curtain would gently billow over. But no, this was a really great little skit, I thought, and it's Gonzo just fully flourishing into his freak self.
And again, it was really nice that it then led into a bit of backstage business with him and Kermit discussing the brick and what it was that he'd done. And it felt like between the chickens and then them going backstage, that immediately going into Consider Yourself. Okay, then we did have the news flash, but then to have Gonzo and then that go into a little bit of backstage business too. To me, this episode did feel very, very fluid and really confident.
So fluid. It all felt so alive, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just like, you know, Kermit making his calls over the like the prompter and chatting to Gonzo, and this happens. This is the kind of verve and energy that I really hope we're going to keep having, because it really does give so much more pace and energy to it. You know, sometimes we feel these episodes grind to a halt almost to have these backstage scenes or these little skits. But yeah, that sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 of those just really, I was like, yes, more of this. Keep going.
And it goes on, doesn't it? Because then he's doing his calls for Link to be on stage for Pigs in Space. So it literally all threads through in that first part of the show.
Who doesn't find the hustle and bustle of show business a thrill? No one.
Lewis, I feel like this is your absolute plea for a
job.
A job, yes, basically.
It's going to get to a point where I'm just going to add my introduction to start reading out my Spotlight view pin at the beginning.
I thought you were maybe just going to say, and my phone number is.
I'll save that for season 3.
Yeah.
This is my business email address.
Lewis Chandler 1997 at Yahoo. And like,
That's not the correct year, in case
shut the hell up.
Wondering.
I got my headshots done this Monday. Like, I just... God. It's like the Crypt Keeper got given blonde highlights. I can't believe I have a job where every 2 years I have to pay a significant amount of money to see myself age. It's just like... Who designed this job?
Sadists.
Yes. Find me on Twitter, available for bookings.
Speaking of jobs that you absolutely would not want to take, poor Miss Piggy in Pigs in Space.
I thought you were going to say, speaking of hams.
Or hams. This independent heating/unifying element and the horizontal equalizing plane, aka an iron and ironing board.
I would like to ask each of you, what did you guess the implement was going to be before it came out?
I wasn't sure, because it was obviously going to be something that got hot and was... I don't know. I really wasn't sure.
Emma, did you...
I thought it might have been like a hot plate or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like a stove. I thought it was like a stove and a frying pan. What did you both think of this sketch?
I mean, I thought it was quite funny, but I don't know. I think we've seen better like sketches on Pigs in Space. It was quite funny when like Miss Piggy ran after Link and clanged onto the door, and then she like vibrated, and then she was like, "Oh!" That was quite funny. But yeah, I didn't think it was like one of the strongest ones that we've seen so far.
I mean, I love Piggy when she gets like, "Oh, you want me? I'm going to step up. I'm going to save the day." And then she obviously has that moment of turning, because Piggy always has that moment of turning when she realizes what it is that's going on. I thought that was fun. But yeah, I found it a little bit strange that at the end of the sketch they just started making pig jokes, like saying that they were filthy like pigs and that they were going to go and throw the pigskin around. I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you calling attention to these things? I did not understand what the place of those jokes was in the context of this sketch.
I agree. I think the thing I still just don't fundamentally understand is, because we've now had a couple of these Pigs in Space sketches where it's focused on gender roles and Miss Piggy's place as the first mate, and I just kind of don't understand why they aren't using the sci-fi premise more. It does feel a little bit like me to use the sort of phrase from The Simpsons, why they aren't getting to the fireworks factory. It's why are we doing a sketch like this when you literally have, you know, all of space to use for jokes, or, you know, like trying to land on a planet, or like more situational comedy, as opposed to, oh, we'll get Piggy to do the ironing. I just don't understand. I don't understand.
I mean, the only thing you could think of is probably the time and context of the kind of material.
I suppose so. And I suppose I wondered if they were trying to make a comment on the role of women in things like Star Trek or whatever. But I feel like even, Lieutenant Uhura got, she wasn't being given the ironing. She was in charge of the headphone radio things. I never watched the original Star Trek, but I did kind of know that.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of the time, and I guess maybe they really wanted to bring in some of those like woman's lib themes into the show to show that they were on the button, but were trying to think of a way of doing it that wasn't just going to make people, essentially what I'm saying is conservatives go, yes. Ugh, you've ruined the Muppet Show. To use today's language, you've made the Muppet Show woke. I'm not interested. But I was expecting a bit more of the actual like sci-fi riffing as opposed to it being more of a generic, I guess, like family sitcom where it's like, oh, mum is so put upon and dad's just going to play ball outside and ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see how it develops and whether they quickly run out of things for Piggy to be able to do in that way and whether they do move it on.
I really hope so, because I think I obviously we knew of Pigs in Space before we got to it. And I think maybe I just sort of had sort of some high hopes or expectations that it would be more of a kind of, just a parody of those kind of sci-fi genre trappings a bit more. And maybe it will get there, and I hope it does, because it feels like a waste otherwise, because you could be making those kind of jokes in any kind of scenario. I don't know, it feels like a waste of space. Huh?
Also, just thinking about Veterinarian's Hospital, okay, the jokes in Veterinarian's Hospital are obviously all pun-based. It's not a situational comedy in the same way that Pigs in Space is. But actually, Piggy and Janice are the two put together members of that trio. They're the two that are trying to get Dr. Bob to be a good doctor.
But even even in the fact that it was like its format was puns, but it was puns around, this is our patient.
Yes.
This is what we need to treat him with. This is what we're doing. Whereas this is just, it's barely to do with the location they find themselves in. Mm-hmm. And it's not what I want.
Yeah, no, they need to figure out a way to make it more spacey.
Yes, quite. Get to the fireworks factory. Speaking of podcasters who are getting what they want, Emma, why don't you lead us into the next Rolf number?
Yes, we go into the UK spot with my favourite person, Rolf. And my favourite person, my favourite dog. And he's doing a lovely little song with
Jade.
The piano.
All right. Carry on. Expect a frosty response to anything else you say for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Jade and I go, great. And just
carry on, Emma.
No, I love you guys.
Just not as much as Rolf.
I know my place on this totem pole. It's fine.
Yeah, Rolf, Jade, Lewis.
Did you say Mildred before you said Lewis? Because I feel like maybe you should have if you didn't.
All right. Let's keep talking about the song, shall we? Let's.
Yeah, so we have Rolf singing Show Me a Rose, which is a Groucho Marx song. And a lovely bit of a UK spot. We're kind of back to our traditional UK spot that we've seen in previous episodes, where it's normally kind of Rolf doing a little song with the piano.
Ever since songwriters started writing songs, they have written songs about the rose. Red roses, blue roses, old roses, new roses, roses from the north and south and west. But here's the rose song that I love the best. Show me a rose and I'll show you a girl who cares. Show me a rose storm at sea. Show me a road or leave me alone.
What did you guys think?
I wanted more from it.
Same.
Like, it was very sweet watching him sing, and don't get me wrong, there's never enough Rolf on the Muppet Show, so obviously
There's never enough.
very happy to see him, but it was just Jim performing as Rolf, singing Show Me a Rose. That was it. I thought he did, towards the end, Rolf really went for it and was singing in a way that I don't think we've ever heard him sing before. Rough and loud and deep, and seemed to be reaching for the depths of the song to absolutely make the most of it. But just overall, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. Like, I just wanted something to happen or into play.
It was a little something of nothing, really. Perfectly nice, perfectly fine, but it was just one of those UK spots that you just lift out, and it has no impact at all on anything, really. But it does make me wonder again. I wonder if we counted up, of all the UK spots we've had so far, how many of them are just Rolf, and what that would be like for an American audience who just gets a significantly less amount of Rolf across the Muppet Show. And whether he does make as much an impact as a character if he's so often the person who's getting lifted out for, 5 minutes of advertisements from Texaco and, cigarettes.
Coca-Cola.
Kraft Foods.
Kraft mac and cheese.
Okay, we've lost Lewis.
I'm back. If it helps, Emma, I would put Kraft mac and cheese above you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you'd barely see Rolf if it wasn't for the UK spots. So I am glad that we have them and he's in them, but I just feel like they could have done something else with this. Yeah. Even if it was just still him singing, but then there was like some other Muppets dancing around him or something. Like, that would have still just lifted it that little bit.
Start, like, I don't know, at the end, toss like a ton of roses at him and we just get a little fun kind of like, whoa, like, people falling off stuff is fun.
Emma does not look happy at the idea of Rolf being pelted with roses.
You leave him alone.
She's going to ring the RSPCA.
Get taken away. He's not even a real dog. When Emma dies before me, she'll leave $10,000 to Rolf instead of nothing to me. I have to take the Jim Henson Company to court. Be like some really old man. Just like, give me my money. I'll be like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. Just like, give me my tuppence. Somebody let this crazy old man out. Speaking of crazy old men.
I knew you were going to say that.
Surely not.
We meet Mortimer.
What a guy.
If you thought the first dummy was terrifying, get a load of this character. I wrote down, I worry what growing up around these dummies did to Candace's psyche. But did you notice that in this, Mortimer does make a joke about Edgar being a not very good ventriloquist?
Yeah, and Charlie McCarthy makes jokes about it too.
Yeah, Charlie does as well.
Like,
yeah.
And yet we're still calling him a ventriloquist. And he seems that, he must be aware of him not being all that good.
Well, he must know whether his mouth's moving or not. Like, it's his mouth.
Baffling. Now, I won't lie. The moment he said hello, Shirley, I did burst into. I was like, this is absolutely bonkers. And just there is something inherently funny about the name Shirley. I don't know why. Hello, Shirley.
What I appreciated about this little bit was that they'd paired Mortimer with Fozzie, which felt like a good combination of characters to interplay together. To put Charlie McCarthy with Fozzie would have just been cruel. He obviously would have eviscerated poor Fozzie, and he does later on. He talks about making him his he needs a new rug for his den, but at least it's not to Fozzie's face.
Yeah.
But to watch Mortimer and Fozzie interplay, like, I don't know, there was a sort of old TV charm to it that I didn't mind. It obviously isn't the funniest thing in the world, but there's a silliness to it that I was like, yeah, okay, this is all right. And if you either ignore Edgar Bergen's lips moving, or when it cuts in so it's just Fozzie and Mortimer or whatever, like, it's okay. I think you can just about get away with it.
I was just trying to think about what the equivalent is to Edgar Bergen not being a good ventriloquist. It would be like watching The Muppet Show, and for like once every 30 seconds you just kind of see the top of Jim Henson's head, like just his eyes, like just slowly bobbing in and out of screen, just as he's trying to operate Kermit. Just, how did he do this for so many years?
I don't know. I really, really don't know.
So, well, I mean,
it is baffling.
From one bad ventriloquist to another, we do follow the action in a very nice way, plot-wise, straight to Fozzie going on stage with Chucky, his dummy, who he has decorated with his own fur to make his hair. Which, just the image of Fozzie backstage just hacking at his fur with a pair of scissors and then just sticking it onto the head of this dummy is just, it's a very upsetting image.
I was more imagining that maybe Fozzie had molted slightly and he just sort of picked up some of the molted fur and put it on, as opposed to him actually like leaving himself with a bald patch on on his leg or something.
Like his thigh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw that he'd added hair to Chucky, yes, to Chucky, to give him his full name, I was like, oh my God, what have you done? Also, I'm guessing Chucky was meant to look a bit like Fozzie. Like, he had bear-like ears and the nose.
Yeah.
He looks like something a troubled child in a horror movie would make.
Yes. Well, yeah, because he's all like crap paper mache, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
he does look like something that Fozzie has actually made, which is quite
Yes.
something, really. They're very talented on the Muppet Show, you know.
They're terribly good.
They're terribly good. It takes real talent to make something look that terrible.
You don't have to tell me, Jade. I've been doing that for
It's your speciality.
It is. I did write, Chucky is less scary than Charlie and Mortimer.
Yeah, that's true. I really loved this bit, though. As Fozzie was getting more and more frustrated, and the way that he was looking at Chucky and sort of willing him to say something, and the couple of times he sort of whispered in his ear as if that was going to magically bring Chucky to life.
Oh, I know. And then the bit when obviously Kermit comes out and he has to tell Fozzie that, you know, he doesn't actually, Chucky doesn't talk, he actually needs to say something. And like the realization was quite funny.
The realization was perfect.
Really good.
Frank Oz just like, it was such a perfect kind of, he's not.
It's like telling a child about Santa Claus. Like, it's that moment of just...
What do you mean, Jade?
That Santa lives in the North Pole and he's got lots of elves that help him. That's what I mean.
That's right. I'm going to keep it that way. My favourite little slave-owning Christmas gift man. Thank you. The elves need to join the chicken union.
They do. The elves definitely need to unionise. Poor little tykes.
Yeah, this was super cute.
I loved it. I absolutely loved this. And the way that Fozzie was chucking him around and parts of Chucky were going absolutely flying.
Yeah,
like,
that fur
I don't know
went
where
very quickly.
The fur went, the arm went.
It was... it was super cute until the very end when Fozzie left and then Chucky turned his head and he spoke. I was like, oh, this is terrifying.
Yeah, the fact that he's called Chucky is obviously just a funny coincidence. But yeah, it was incredibly. It was a bit like. Ugh.
I'm guessing he's named that because of Charlie, though, right? Because Chuck is a
no, Chucky didn't exist until the 80s, as in the
Yeah.
demonic doll. Yeah, because it's do you know, I actually did that mental gymnastics while we were recording right now because I was like, oh yeah, Chucky is like short for Charles, and I only know that because in the Rugrats, Chucky is actually called Charles Finster.
Charles.
Wait, is it Finster?
Yeah, it is Finster. I think it is Finster.
Finster's definitely one of the surnames, I think, isn't it?
Because then I just got confused because isn't the
Recess.
in Recess Miss Finster?
Miss Finster in Recess, yeah.
Chucky, I'm gonna have to Google it.
Let's Google it. Wait a minute.
Chucky Finster? Oh, it is Chucky Finster. Okay, there we go.
It is.
Okay, we can go with that. Carry on, everyone.
When this next song started, I had two thoughts in very quick succession. One was just super disappointing, which was I thought Muppet Labs had a serious upgrade, and then was like, oh no, it's not. It's just a little whatnot. And then the second immediate thought was, oh my god, is this the original puppet that when Gonzo is turned into his old creepy self in Muppet's Haunted Mansion, is that what this is based on? Because that wrinkled face and the crazy grey hair and everything, like, I don't know, I just felt like I was looking at Gonzo's brain again. I did not enjoy the look of that puppet at all.
I know what you mean. It was very, like, the hair and everything was very bizarre. I found it quite a sad song. I found it, like, quite melancholy. It was, I don't know, it was very wistful and just kind of quite sad. I was like, oh, especially at the very end where he, like, turned back into the sort of old puppet again. Like, I had the vibe of it being like he was trying to get back to his youth for some sort of like love or something, and then it didn't work, and it was like, oh.
As somebody who frequently loves to, like, I don't know, stick a finger in the wound of melancholy, I loved this. I really enjoyed everything that Emma just laid out. That sort of like the wistfulness and the slightly death becomes her nature of the downing these little potions to get younger, and just I would while away my time with you. Yeah, I was immediately trying to Google like sheet music for this song.
Well, I don't know how far you got in your Googling, Lewis.
I didn't have enough time, Jade. I only finished this episode about 20 minutes ago.
This is why you should watch a little bit earlier. Then you might have been able to give us a rendition. So the song is "Time in a Bottle."
Yeah, I just saw the fear in Emma's eyes of like, don't give him the idea to sing up the podcast. I was just shaking her.
It's fine, Emma. I can just edit it out, even if Lewis does 20 minutes. Lewis last seen monologuing, and Emma and I just log off and are like, bye.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with.
Yeah, so it's Time in a Bottle, which is by an artist whose name is Jim Croce, I think you say it. His family were Italian, so I think that's how you say it. But it's really, really sad because he actually died either just after the album that this was on came out or just before. And like all of his success with songs, including this one, which was really popular, came after his death.
Wow.
And he died in a plane crash. So I feel like it adds like another layer to, in particular, this song, because it's clearly all about time and youth and
Yeah.
you not getting that time back. And yeah, he passed away super young. I think he was only 30. So I don't know. When I found that out, I was a bit like, oh Christ! Like this is fairly like heavy stuff for the Muppet Show. This is not a, this is certainly not just a little skit that they're putting together.
No, it is quite mournful in a way. I really enjoyed it. I just responded to it. Although I did start thinking by the time we got to maybe like the third or fourth potion, this is actually just like a local branch of the Alchemist, the cocktail bar, where everything just gets a little bit of that dry ice tossed into it, and they say "woo" as they bring them over, and all the drinks are smoking. Then they say, "You need to leave that for 20 seconds, and please don't touch the crystals at the bottom."
You will die.
Yeah, please don't drink those. We're not insured. Enjoy the Alchemist. Cocktails are £16.
I did enjoy it, and I thought they did a really good job.
Or...
No, I've only been to the Alchemist once, and it was fine, although expensive.
Did you have a smoky drink?
Yes, I did. I think I might have had a really bubbly drink as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's interactive. Cahoots never did any of that shit.
No,
My crazy cocktail bar was only a 1940s underground station.
I was going to say, because that was not gimmicky in any way, shape or form, was it? Just bog standard cocktails.
I was going to say, your poster's still on the outside.
I do. And every so often I go along just to remind the new members of staff who I am. Just so they'll let me in. That's my face on the side of the ticket hall.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about this for too much longer, but I just wanted to say that I thought they did a good job with the puppets changing and de-aging as they went through. But also I really liked how Jim changed his voice throughout as well. Like he got really, really quite high towards the end, and he did sound an awful lot younger than at the start of the song. I did feel like they'd put real thought and effort into making it have that journey through the music. But yeah, I don't know. I guess overall I just found it maybe a little bit long, and you obviously knew what was going on fairly early on, and I feel like because I didn't know the song, I wasn't really getting that much from it, whereas it obviously would have been popular, or at least had been popular, so people would have known it when this came out in 1977. So yeah, I don't know. I was just a bit like, okay,
fair enough.
Like it's nice, but yeah.
So from mournful and wistful, we go to 4 chickens pecking at a piano. Cute.
This made me laugh. Do you both know the song?
No.
So it's called Down at Papa Joe's, and it was by the Dixie Bells.
Papa John's?
Oh, sorry. I've said that wrong. It's Papa Joe's. I just assumed it was Papa John's.
No, you did say Joe. I was then.
You made me think I'd said John. And I was like, oh my God, did I just accidentally say John?
He was just thinking about pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Pizza.
But I knew the tune, and I don't know whether it's just one of those songs that like gets rolled out.
It's probably outside of like rights, so it probably does get rolled out of the background of things.
Yeah. But I really like the chickens doing this. Sorry, Emma, what were you going to say?
I just thought it was really funny not funny, but how we went from Time in a Bottle to that. Like the juxtaposition was crazy.
The Muppet Show.
It's the Muppet Show.
And then to have the button on the end be then the giant chicken return.
Oh, I know. Statler and Waldorf.
I love that we finally found a way to stop them heckling, though. It's to threaten them with a giant chicken.
The giant chicken.
Do you think that's the reason one of them jumped? Yeah. They were just so terrified by the chicken.
That giant chicken is pretty scary when it locked that poor little Muppet in the birdcage.
Yes.
did it smash through a door or window?
Yeah, it smashed through a door and then it picked him up and put him in the birdcage.
Oh, great.
I think is that chicken like the heavy for the Union, and it's just
Yeah.
Are you saying it's last exit to Berlin? That is a reference to a sad book about unions in New York. I can be literary.
We know you can be literary. It's just normally fairly lowbrow, I feel like.
It's not lowbrow.
No, I'm saying your sad gay books. No,
Only
no.
usually
Only one.
Only the red, white, and royal blue was lowbrow, and that was a horny gay book. The sad gay books, like one of them won the Pulitzer a couple of years ago. I'll thank you very much. There's a very different subset of horny gay literature and sad gay literature, and you know it's important when it's sad, and you know it's stupid when it's horny.
I thought you were going to say, it's really great when it's both sad and horny.
That's how I know I'm great, because I'm both sad and horny. This little chicken piano bit, it felt like, to me, one of the little sort of side gags you'd get in a Walt Disney ride. If you were going in a Pirates of the Caribbean or a Carousel of Progress, you'd be like, oh, look, there's a little robot of 4 chickens playing a piano in a tune. It just felt like very that. And I'm glad the sketch was only, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
It was the perfect little, escalation, boom, finish, button with the giant chicken at the end. Lovely. Really enjoyed it.
I agree. Well, yeah, you could almost imagine that literally just being animatronics pecking at a piano, couldn't you? It's very much in that vein. One of the things I did notice about this was that the lack of Statler and Waldorf in this episode. And it was quite nice that we still did have them here with the chicken, because I think to just have the chickens playing the song on the piano would have been a bit like, okay. But because you had that at the end, it did, as you said, just made it this perfect tiny little gag in the middle of everything else.
Yeah.
I was wondering what they were going to do with the final Edgar Bergen piece, and I wasn't surprised that it was Edgar and Charlie initially just on stage together, but then I was really pleased when Miss Piggy came in, and I felt like that Lewis is laughing.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
It felt right that she got that final bit with them, and also the fact that then she still tried to karate chop Charlie McCarthy, although obviously did not go in her favour this time. I felt like this sort of encapsulated clearly how Jim Henson felt about Edgar Bergen, where you had Kermit introducing him and saying how special he is to everyone on the Muppet Show, that they then let him just do a little bit of his shtick, his bit with Charlie.
I like that he had at least, it was clearly some new material. Do you know what I mean? Because it was relating to the Muppets.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it was much more successful than when Rich Little clearly did impressions of the Muppets for the very first time ever in his life. Because he totally knew the Muppet characters and how to play with them, and as I've already said, joking about Fozzie being simple, accent on the simple, and needing a rug for his den floor, and I mean I don't know, the frog's legs jokes about biology class got a little bit much.
Yeah, I thought that as well. I was like, how many times?
Do you think he really loved frog? Was that his favourite delicacy or something?
Maybe it's easy to say as a ventriloquist. Frog.
Frog. Yeah, you don't really have to move your mouth too much. Frog. Emma, you haven't tried it. You need to try it.
Wrong. I can't believe we just did that.
Emma's elocution is not a winner at the best of times. I don't think we should be impeding her further by saying, now don't move your lips.
Frog.
I can barely say words as it is.
Maybe that would... you never know, Lewis. It might be one of those,
Don't suggest to Emma to get a fucking ventriloquist dummy. If we come back next week and it's Welcome to Muppetsational, I'm Lewis Chandler, I'm Jay Turner, I'm Emma Chandler, and this is, I don't know, Meow Meow the cat. And then Emma just starts, talking through the cat.
Yeah, the cat. Cat's quite hard. I wouldn't go with cat, Emma. You have to do things with your mouth to make that work.
I'm not going to lie. The only reason I said meow the cat is because I literally have a poster on my wall that says meow on it. Like, I was desperately looking around the room for any sort of name for it. Like, it was either that or, like, Madonna or plant. Like, that's all I had.
Lewis's room is filled with treasures, as we can all tell.
Well, I've got Kylie behind me as
You
well.
have got Kylie. Kylie might
Kylie
be
the cat.
Kylie.
Kylie.
No, I wouldn't go cat. Cat's hard. Kylie.
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 I feel like K's.
Oh,
might be quite
Kylie's
hard.
all right. Kylie.
Kylie.
Try it at
Right.
home, people. Wherever you are listening right now, see if you can not move your mouth and say the word Kylie.
Kylie.
I feel like this is very thrilling for our listeners.
Yes. Upset people on your tube carriage right now. Just go, Kylie, under your breath.
Kylie.
And they'll be like, sorry. There's somebody looking at you. Maybe there's somebody called Kylie in your tube carriage and you'll strike up a friendship or a romance. Kylie. Kylie.
And we want to be invited to the wedding, okay? It's very
We'll all bring our ventriloquist dummies.
That's too many.
Jade, one ventriloquist dummy is too many at a wedding. I love you like, that's too many. What, because 3 would make it weird. 3 dummies would make it weird. Oh, just a couple. Oh, we just had 2 guests who also brought ventriloquist dummies. But you know, as you would expect.
Imagine if you turned up at a wedding and there was a ventriloquist dummy. What would... I mean, I'd run. I would run.
I think I would stick around only to see if I ended up on the same table as the guest who had a ventriloquist dummy, I would know that the bride and groom or groom and groom or
Hate
bride and
you.
bride did not consider me very close friend. Imagine sitting there.
If
like,
you're sat
trying
on
to
that
eat
table
your...
near the toilets, you know you're down on the guest
When you're trying
list.
to eat your like buffet meal, and then the dummy like swings in and be like, "You're gonna eat all that?" And you're like, "Fuck, get away from me!" And just elbowing it, just get off of it. I hate you. So yeah, the long and the short of that is Emma, please
Kylie.
please, Kylie, please don't get a ventriloquist dummy.
I won't, I promise.
Piggy, trying to get this back. Piggy was rightfully unimpressed. I loved overdressed Splinter and
It was
Mahogany
great.
Mouth.
That was great, yeah.
But I liked how charmed Edgar was, as you said, Jade,
Yes.
to be talking to Piggy, so much so that he forgot to do his own damn job. His only job, which is to stop moving his fucking mouth. So his stupid dumb...
Lewis is having a breakdown.
He has one job. And that is to not move his mouth while he operates his ventriloquist dummy, which has been his job for 40 years. And he couldn't do it. Privilege. I don't know. Like, I just what?
Well, also, if you just can't be bothered at that point, just step away. You know, just don't do it anymore. Like...
Well, Jade, he hadn't even started doing it, so what? Is there anything else to say?
I made a note to say that Piggy's hair looked amazing in this.
It did.
It did.
I thought it looked really, really luscious and shiny, and it had that like perfect curl at the end, which I don't know who's doing her hair and makeup these days, but they are doing a good job.
Yeah,
She looked great.
Yeah, gorgeous. I clocked that too.
Yeah, and that was it. I don't, you know.
Fantastic.
we can move to the goodbyes.
What? Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
Not our goodbyes.
I was like, Jade, I think we usually have like about 15 more minutes of the podcast to go.
Yeah, don't turn off yet, everyone. We're still going.
Kylie, don't leave yet. Oh my god, what if we have a listener called Kylie and we've just been like addressing them like they could be like, what the hell is happening?
Imagine if we have a listener named Meow Meow.
The artist Meow Meow might be listening. I mean, the odds are very low, but she might.
She might.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goodbyes in the Muppet Show. I did enjoy the fact that Charlie McCarthy was off stage and was scared of coming back out because he didn't want to see Piggy again. I was like, that is an appropriate response to Miss Piggy. You should be scared of her. You overdressed Splinter.
Yes. Emma, any closing thoughts on the end?
Yeah, no, just as like what Jade said, really. It was quite funny that, you know, Charlie was too scared to come back on stage because of Miss Piggy. And I did love her one-liners, the overdressed Splinter and the mahogany mouth. It was quite funny. And then when she tried to hiya him and she was like, it's solid oak.
Oh, well, I will be very intrigued to see how we're all going to rank this episode. But first, we must decide upon our MVMP, our most valued Muppet performer. Emma, why don't you kick us off?
My most valued Muppet performer for this episode is going to be Fozzie!
Yay!
Yay! I just thought in this episode, he just had some really nice moments, like on stage and in the backstage business. And it was quite funny thinking and seeing him try and do his kind of act with Chucky, although I mean that did turn a bit sinister when he left the stage and Chucky started talking. But I just thought he had some really nice interactions with Kermit and with Edgar as well, and I just thought it was really nice. I think we just saw like another fun side of Fozzie's character, so he is going to be my MVMP for this week. How about you, Jade?
I really liked Fozzie too, but I'm going to give it to the chickens this week,
Oh.
collectively, because I think that the opening was really strong. I did really enjoy Down at Papa Joe's / Papa John's, depending on how hungry you are. I loved that the big chicken is the only character to ever shut Statler and Waldorf up at this point. And yeah, I just felt like the little bits of backstage business that they had as well, like they just gave an energy and a flow to the episode that I really, really appreciated. And it's also just nice to see them, because after having Gonzo with real chickens, we were wondering when, I know it's not quite Camilla yet, but we were wondering when Camilla and the girls were going to turn up in the guise that we're used to seeing them in. And this is it. This is the chickens, other than having Camilla as a separate entity. So I'm going to give it to the chickens this week. Lewis, who's your MVMP?
So I was also tempted to give it to the chickens, but then I realised that would be 2 weeks in a row, because last week I gave, in our last episode with Nancy Walker, I gave it to the big chicken. So I didn't think I could quite do that again. So I'm going to give it to Gonzo, just mostly because it was just full on bonkers Gonzo. It was, and also I didn't even mention at the beginning, I really loved his trumpet gag with it just being a shotgun.
Yeah.
Like, just, which was fantastic. I really loved it. So just to avoid having too much poultry, I'm going to elect to go for Gonzo this week. All right, it is time for us to reveal our rankings for this week. Jade, why don't you start us off?
Oh, you're making me go first again.
Yeah.
I've been quite torn about this, because I did find...
I wonder if you're going to have the same problem I had, where you actually did quite enjoy this episode, despite the fact that Edgar Bergen was not a good ventriloquist. So part of you doesn't want to reward it with points, because you don't want Edgar Bergen to be given, like, one of our, like, top 10 guests of season 2, despite the fact that it's an otherwise very entertaining episode, because I've been having that going round in my head as well.
Yeah, I mean, basically, thanks, Lewis. I'll keep it brief.
Let's just all take that as our comment and then just give it a rating.
We'll just give it a rating.
Yeah, we'll all just go, look, despite the shitty ventriloquist, we all had a nice time. I don't know, 6.5 out of 10. Good night, everyone.
I mean, pretty much. Like, I think it's...
we could do one episode where we all just wrap it up together and give it the same score. It's fine.
We just say it all at the same time and go, bish, bash, bosh, done.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I really loved Consider Yourself. Muppet Newsflash was fun. Pigs in Space was meh, it was fine, but it wasn't too long or anything. I did really love Fozzie with Chucky. I loved all of the chicken stuff. Miss Piggy was really great fun with Charlie McCarthy. And the bits that I didn't enjoy so much were the UK sport and Edgar's ventriloquy, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go 6 welterweight bricks out of 10.
Nice.
If this had a stronger guest star, I think this would probably be right up there for me. But quite frankly, how Edgar Bergen had a career for as long as he did doing ventriloquy, I have no idea. And also now knowing what I know about his relationship with Candace, I can't reward him too highly.
No.
So, Lewis, are you going 6.5 out of 10?
I mean, yeah, I think I am. There's no point saying anymore. Like, I would just highlight in my difference to you, Jade. I really enjoyed like the lab song. I loved that little, and like, yeah, put that wistful shit right in my veins. I like it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it, I don't know, 6.5 chicken unions out of 10. Emma.
Well, I think I'm going to join you. All of the above. So I'm going to give it 6.5 overdressed splinters out of 10.
Nice.
Fab. Yeah, no notes. Fantastic.
notes.
God, we're wrapping it. We should do this every week. Jade, why don't you help us turn the page on this interesting chapter of the Muppet Show and instead take us into your weekly book club of Muppets and Men.
I will. So this is also very short and sweet. So
Fabulous.
You might all be out of here in just over the hour mark, which...
Especially you, Kylie.
Yeah, congrats, Kylie.
Kylie.
I just thought I'd read a little bit from Of Muppets and Men by Christopher Finch that talks directly about Edgar Bergen on The Muppet Show. It's talking more about the guest stars in general, but he's mentioned by name, so I thought it was appropriate. It seems that everyone wants to work with the Muppets, says David Laser, explaining the process that is followed when casting guests. People have given up lucrative personal appearances, have even had their contracts rewritten so they could come on the show. We begin by drawing up lists. Then a little group of us, Jim, Jerry Jewell, Frank and myself, sit down to discuss the possibilities, and we regularly consult with Bernie Brillstein. We look for international stars, of course, and there were certain show business institutions, George Burns, Edgar Bergen, Peter Sellers, Zero Mostel, people like that everyone here wanted to work with. We tend to go for people who don't do much television, or for television stars who can do things other than what they're best known for. If we find that the lead in a dramatic series can also sing and dance, that's promising. We want to give the viewers something they don't see every day.
And where else could you see a ventriloquist who couldn't do ventriloquism for shit but on The Muppet Show? Thank you so much for listening to Muppetsational. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate and review, as it really helps spread the word about the podcast. You can follow us on social media. We are at Muppetsational on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. You can contact us at hiho@muppetspodcast.com, and you can find out more about us and the podcast at muppetspodcast.com. Well, this has been a pleasure. It's been lovely to see you both. And we'll see you again in 2 days' time when we have to do this again because our scheduling has been up the wazoo. So until 2 days from now, but a week for you listening at home, I've been Lewis Chandler.
I've been Jade Turner. Sorry, couldn't resist. I've been Jade Turner.
And I've been Emma Chandler.
We shall see you next week on another episode of Muppetsational. Bye.
Bye.
Kylie.
Our theme music is Peppy Pepe by Kevin MacLeod, and our artwork is designed by Charlotte Rudge, who you can follow at Charlie_R_Rudge on Instagram.
That was a funny show.
Yes, it was. I wonder if they meant it that way.